Okay, we're in. Woo! We made it back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Modern Monarchy. It's episode 2. We're going to actually get into the regular format of the show where we talk about the news at the top. And boy, there's a lot to talk about. I didn't really think about the fact that we're gonna not talk to each other for 2 weeks and that a lot of things are gonna happen because the part of me was this is a little, maybe we can reformat at some point, but like I wanted to really be able to talk about some of the smaller engagements that the working royals do because it helps you understand how much work they actually do, because I feel like that's important if you're going to talk about whether or not they're net positive. I don't want to say essential because they aren't really making laws or anything. We're going to get into all that later about what the royal family actually does. But yeah, if we're going to be doing the news every 2 weeks, I just am picking a few things and kind of trying to get as much information out of them as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, say we're gonna have 4 different topics, and then we're going to talk about kind of Monarchy 101, which every time I do the research for this, because I did an episode like this a couple years ago, trying to explain their role in the government and how their finances work, and it's such a wibbly wobbly, loosey goosey, um, ever changing thing that there's it when you Google it for news articles or even any sort of parliament site that ends in .gov.uk, they talk about it almost like on a yearly basis, trying to explain to you how this works.
That's not reassuring.
Right?
That tells me
Right,
people
right, right,
don't
right.
get it. And that there's a lot of people who are trying to get it who don't get it.
Yeah. And it's it's on a level of confusion where I know that we don't, I don't know about you. I don't know what your opinion of Harry is if you have one. But I don't think he's the most educationally inclined person. And I don't think he knows what the rules are, what the king does. I don't think he knows any of that.
Which is funny because, okay, all right, pick on me now. I did not get time to actually watch the Oprah interview, but I watched shorter reaction videos to it and stuff, so I could get some level of knowledge around it. And I can agree with that. But also there was one video where and I will give credit to Meghan for this, where she was like, I didn't really understand the role of the family. I think it's weird she didn't Google her husband before she married him. That was weird. Who doesn't fucking Google the person they're gonna
Yeah,
I
100%.
Googled
Because the
I
first of
Googled
all,
my husband. I Googled I feel like you should do that in today's day and age.
yeah,
But
especially when his entire life is on the internet.
exactly. He's not a very private person. Um, so what I was trying to originally say though is I can at least respect the fact that it's she didn't really know, she didn't really understand the monarchy. Cuz I felt I'm okay, well I can at least empathize with that because I know it exists. But again, I'm here as the village idiot for you to explain these things and me to ask the questions that most people are probably asking.
So without getting too deep into the topic of Meghan Markle and not knowing anything about the royal family, the thing that bothers me is that she will say that she didn't know anything about him and she didn't know anything about the royal family, and everything she thinks she needed to learn, she learned through him.
Which is also a weird choice. That's when she said that though, I was like, you didn't do any like again, why are you not using Google?
She was given advisors that she didn't want to listen to.
That
But like he was born into it and is just living life as a prince.
right.
Like he doesn't know the ins and outs. He doesn't know what life is like for you outside this. And oh, you're not going to know this. Oh, let me help you with this. You know that about him,
Right?
like he's your husband. And it's like I feel like she used it as an excuse, is what I'm saying.
And I can like I can see where you're coming from. And I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying like I feel like the spin for that publicly where it's like you gotta the way it was presented to me in one video that I watched was like this person reacting to it was like, well, like growing up in the US, like you don't hear a lot about it. So like, is it weird she didn't Google it? Absolutely. Is it weird she didn't take advice from advisors whose job it is to explain to people how this shit works? Yes, that's weird and strange and dumb. But
Yeah, no, yeah. From the absolute beginning of her saying, I didn't know anything because I'm from the United States. Like, she's she's claiming to not know anything on a level beyond like what I didn't know before I had this podcast. Like when I was just a regular who occasionally heard stuff in the news about them, I knew more about the royal family than what she's claiming to know.
okay.
And
Well,
she was in their echelon of like social circles because she was friends with Princess Beatrice before she met Harry. And she like went to the UK frequently.
okay. Well, this was information that as so I guess this is we're going a little bit onto a different topic here. And I know that this was another topic you had on your list of like it's interesting to see how like certain narratives get spun. My dog is going to bark. Oh, no, she didn't. Good choice, Barley Bee.
A little wine, just a little
I
wine.
think Josh went outside, and I'm going to bother him
Oh.
with that because I don't want the dog to bark. We got a new dog. Last time I had my headphones in, which I guess I could have grabbed them this time, but I wasn't sure if they weren't going to work. So I was like, well, I'll just leave them downstairs.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But last time we did this, the dog went downstairs for the baby gate.
Well, the baby gate's still here, but she'll come to the top of the stairs and yell. But we've been working on it.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
trying really hard. Like, I've been. So, my big thing is, like, I love animal training. And so I've been working on counter conditioning the cat and the dog's emotional states around each other and using, like, positive reinforcement. And yeah, anyway, so that's been my thing. So, she is getting better, but I don't 100%. I can't 100% vouch that she won't do her big girl scary bark at some point at the top of the stairs.
Oh.
And it echoes at the top of the stairs. I don't have headphones in to block it. So, if that happens,
If it happens, you know, maybe if I remember, we can. Do we even have like a running clock on this? Oh yeah, we do.
we do.
I was like, maybe I can like make a note of when it was, and I can just turn the volume down on your side.
Right? That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. So, speaking of like editing and stuff, because of the last episode, I realized that I just don't want to edit these to death. I think between that and the news being in the episode, I think it would be better if I post this the next day.
Okay.
So Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah. And I posted the last one on a midnight-ish. And I think maybe I'll bump that to more of like a morning when people might be more inclined to like turn it on while they clean their house.
And listen to two airheads. Okay. Anyways, so I am unaware of all of that shit. So where I was going with this was like I find it really interesting like how and this is true of everything really, right? But like depending on what you see and what context you have around some of these things absolutely shapes how you feel about it. So like for example, so
Oh
for me,
yeah.
I'm like I don't have any of that context. So I'm just like, "Oh yeah. Okay, like if you don't know about something, like I get that. Like you have to learn. But like if you were given all the tools and opportunities and didn't, that's not you." But
I'm looking now to see how far out did I put Meghan and Harry's episodes. Like episode 13 and 15. I, like, I kind of wanted to do people in the line of succession.
mhm.
Did I say line of succession or line of succession? It's line of succession. Whatever I just said,
I was gonna say, I'm
line
like,
of succession.
what did you say?
um, so I put Harry and Meghan further down the list, but like we keep talking about them because they're messy. So I'm wondering if I should bump them up to sooner than later so that we can have context.
I mean, it sounds like I need that, to be honest.
And it's like on the one hand, I want you to have context, but also you're the one that's bringing in the point of view of somebody who is just a regular American person, not paying attention to the royals that much.
Right.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying in terms of like, so on one hand, you provide the context and we get to them sooner, but on the other hand, it a little bit removes that piece where I just don't know shit.
Did you hear my neighbors?
No.
Okay, they're like screaming and I don't know what they're doing
Fun
upstairs.
screaming?
I don't know. The first one I heard was ow.
Oh, it could still be fun screaming.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
I
You think
think
it'd be easier to have context so that I'm not constantly going, yeah, but. Or-
so. Here's the thing, like, and I think this is where maybe this is to the detriment of the show setup. And I don't mean that in like a negative way. Just like I can't think of another word right now to describe what I'm trying to explain. But the fact that we're talking about current
I
events.
get what you mean.
What?
I think I get what you mean.
So for me, like, if we're going to talk about current events, like things happening, and like specific instances, like I'm sure we're going to talk about Harry and his.
Sentebale? What? Why would we talk about that?
So like, of course,
That hasn't been enormously in the news.
which so now I'm also like, am I getting more content because I'm engaging with more content about the roast? Because like you said, it's happened.
That's gonna happen.
You were 100% right. So I'm like, is this happening because of that, or is it happening because this is actually like a big thing and everybody's hearing about it? And I don't know, and it's weird.
That's true. Like, how many people in America who are just going about their lives have heard about the whole Prince Harry and his charity problems?
Right. But so ultimately, what I'm getting at is like, I don't know the answer to it because if we're going to talk about current events and talk about these people, I don't know, maybe just let me look dumb for a few weeks.
Okay, so we'll go along as we're going now. We'll keep them in their spot. And if at some point you get exhausted of me going, yeah, but,
Okay,
you let me know.
or
We'll bump them up.
alternative suggestion.
Yeah.
Every time you get the urge to say, yeah, but, say, I'm going to write that down to address later.
Oh, I'm gonna need a notepad.
And then you're going to have to just keep track of those things and say,
Wait a dang second. I have an actual notepad. Behind my computer. Oh my god. Hey, how's it going?
good, how are you?
This is my handy dandy notebook.
Oh my God, phenomenal.
Um,
So yeah,
so
rather than going, yeah, but that'll be my cue that I have more, like, I have more to learn on this topic. And it'll be your cue to be like, okay, this is something we need to address in that episode.
okay. hmm I like it. Gonna have a lot of notes. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I already know that when we get to those episodes that it is going to be a lot of work for me. Because it's all so recent. So it is hyper documented.
Mm,
And I've been there for most of it. Sorry, there was more screaming.
I
I think
can't hear it.
I think that one was gamer rage. Sometimes my neighbor upstairs gamer rages, and it's not fun.
That's odd.
Yeah, he sounds like he's a 20 something.
Oh,
Yeah.
good,
Anyways,
good for you.
let's get into the news. Okay, this first topic is not going to be as exciting as Sentebale. And when I picked it last week because at first I was going to mention that Charles had invited the Prime Minister. Oh, let's go to the slideshow, shall we? Let's go to the slideshow.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I love this.
Give something to look at this time.
I love you so much.
Were you wondering why the logo is like in the middle of the call?
A little bit. I was like, well, this is just a different view.
You're like, why are we so tiny?
I just let you run this, and I'm just here for the ride. And you could just feed me a load of garbage, and I'd be like, crazy, right?
This is great. This is fantastic.
Obviously,
I love that for you.
I'm not Meghan. I'm gonna Google things after, but okay. All right,
Okay,
Charles.
so we have the new Prime Minister of Canada.
Who's kind of a beast.
I have not been paying attention since they switched over to new prime ministers.
Oh, you were just about Trudeau.
No, I'm not super fond of Trudeau.
Oh, I didn't say
He's got a lot
fond
of
of. I
problems.
just said like more aware of, I guess is.
I just that kind of news hasn't really entered my sphere. Sorry.
I live really
My
close
voice.
to the Canadian border. Not Canada. It is Canada, but not. God, now I sound like an idiot.
That's okay.
I am just proving that woman who called us airheads right. I'm wearing the same outfit. I've got the same absolute
the same
mush mouth.
the same boon on your head.
I do. Same one.
The boon.
Anyways,
Um
so new Prime Minister of Canada.
yeah, so his name is Mark Carney. He went to Buckingham Palace because when you get a new prime minister, you get to go visit the king because he's also king of Canada, right?
Yes.
So we're just gonna run through a few things related to Canada that have happened recently. So we switched prime ministers, right?
I have a question.
Eh,
Can I? Oh, I don't have like a little. I can't like raise my hand like in Zoom.
I wish there was like a little thing where you could like maybe like shake your little box or something. Your little call box.
Okay.
Anyway, what's your question?
Now that Queen Elizabeth is dead, does she get to stay on the Canadian money?
think that's up to Canada. Last thing I heard, I think Canada and Australia want to change their money to be more like national icons and animals and
I was gonna
stuff.
say, I thought I heard something about that where it's like they were kind of gonna use it as an opportunity to like change what they were doing, which honestly, good for Elizabeth. That says a lot about her reign. That they're like, well, we'll
Yeah.
wait until she goes to change the money.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. I think she's still on the loony, right?
Is it the loony? I don't know.
I think the loony is the
I think,
$1
yes, I think you're correct.
and a toonie is a $2
Two.
coin.
That would make sense, right?
It does it really though, a loony and a toonie.
No, it sounds like made up money.
We love Canada. Canada is a
We
friend of the show.
adore, as people from the north. Uh, okay, so the loony's $1 for sure, and it does have Queen Elizabeth on it. And it is a $2. The toonie. Featuring a
toonie.
polar bear on the reverse of a portrait of King Charles III since 2023.
Oh,
So,
ooh,
that's a fun
okay.
fact for you.
Yeah. So he is making his way over there on the monies.
Like I said, that was completely off topic. Sometimes I get squirrels like that where I'm like, how does, and honestly, it sounds ridiculous, but it comes from like this place of like, how do these weird little everyday things that we don't think of, like, how does that affect that?
You have no idea how much that same problem makes it difficult to come up with the notes for this because I am like writing up notes and then I also go, wait a minute, but what about this thing? How does that work? And then I go on a tangent for like 20 minutes on like, I don't know, how is money made?
I
And then
hear
I'm like,
this
I
is
just
like,
spent the last half an hour doing that and I have made no progress on my notes.
I was going to say, like, I hear this is like an ADHD thing.
I think so.
You know,
I think so.
not diagnosed, but peer reviewed. Okay.
You know, at 36, we're trying to work around it.
At this point, that's all I've ever done.
Gotta work with it. The fun thing is that because of that, I do have the occasional fun fact.
Same. It's so much fun.
In the notes, there is the occasional fun fact.
Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
Okay.
Continue.
So we're going with the theme here of the king. Well, obviously he had to meet with the new prime minister, and he had to meet up with Trudeau on the way out because that's just normal. But also the news has been picking up more and more of the king doing stuff that they think he might be doing in support of Canada because of Donald Trump trying to annex Canada as a 51st state.
Got it. So it's kind of
Just to be like,
who's gonna get the kid in the divorce? Except
not even that. It's more like
parent.
hey, just a reminder, Canada,
You
I
belong
am
to
your
us.
king still, and I support you. I know you don't want to be a 51st state, and I'm still your head of state over here.
So I guess how much control do they really have over Canada?
He doesn't have any like legislative control. He is just a like ceremonial figurehead.
So in theory, they could be like, "Well, screw you. We don't really care."
I mean, they could drop the monarchy whenever they feel like
They
it.
just like them,
This is
or they just
I don't like the way it is right now. I don't see anything wrong with having a king that like is just comes over and visits sometimes.
That's like when you like sponsor an animal at the zoo.
Yeah.
And you're like, that otter. Oh my god. I'm gonna kill myself over this. That otter, Tim, I sponsor him. And I come to the
I
zoo
sponsor
occasionally
him.
and I check on him.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And if, if one day I'm strapped for money, I don't have to support Tim anymore.
yeah. Don't have to. So, there was this at some points. I feel like the news may have been reaching a bit.
Okay.
So, like this one, he was on the HMS Prince of Wales, which is a naval aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Um, and they were just pointing out that he had the Order of Canada, the Canadian Forces Decoration, and the Canadian Order of Military Merit on his jacket. And it's like, but he also had other ones from other countries of the Commonwealth. I feel like his little badge of decorations, just they're all kind of sewn together.
Right. It's not like he picked out certain ones for this occasion.
Right.
It was like, I'll wear Canada for Canada.
Yeah. And then like a couple weeks ago on I think the 10th was Commonwealth Day. So that whole week they were doing a whole bunch of Commonwealth stuff because of different heads of state and representatives from different countries over
Mm-hmm.
in London. And he planted a tree and like he has a special Commonwealth garden of different trees from the Commonwealth in the garden of Buckingham Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And this time he picked a October Glory maple tree. So they were like, Canada, maple tree. Obviously, he's sending out a message. And I was like,
Are they going to
maybe?
leave it there? Because that tree's going to get big.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, and then he received the Usher of the Black Rod of the Senate of Canada. His name is Mr. Gregory Peters, and gave him the new ceremonial sword
Is this for like
for
knighting
Canadian
people?
Parliament. Um, I'm not sure what the Canadian government does with their ceremonial sword. I don't know if they like use it to like open Parliament or something.
Why would you use a sword to open Parliament? What? You do like a little.
Have you ever watched them open Parliament in the UK?
No.
Oh, it's a to do, and we're gonna talk about it when it happens because I love it.
Okay.
Especially Blackrod. She's my favorite. They have a she Blackrod, by the way, in the UK.
And
It's a lady.
and she's just woven about.
She's what?
Woven about. Like is. Oh, not the person. I mean the sword. Like
Oh, like they wave the sword
yeah,
about.
like
Well, she doesn't.
what do they do? Or is it for the purpose of knighting people? Like what? Is it like a conductor's little? What is that even called?
Baton thing?
Baton feels wrong
No.
though.
What the?
Stick.
It's not a stick. It's not a stick.
Wand called? It is called a baton. Yeah.
Anyways,
So, remember
like
how
I said, I don't know what they do in Canada with their sword. All I know is they needed a new one because you'll notice it has the signet for Charles's name on the handle.
got it.
You see there's a C with an R for Rex,
Yeah.
which means
Whatever his middle name is.
Rex,
Oh. What?
Latin.
Oh, I don't remember.
Rex means king.
Ah, that would make sense.
And then there's the Roman numerals for 3 in the middle.
Got it.
So they had one with Elizabeth's name on it,
got it.
and now they need one with Charles's name.
What did hers look like?
That's not in the
Okay.
PowerPoint, so
How come you didn't anticipate all of my squirrels? See, remember when I said I think I have ADHD?
Am I new too?
Allow me to prove my point 8 million more times in the next hour.
I was like, if you want all of your squirrels answered, I will have to share my notes and PowerPoint with you ahead of time. You'd be like, I have questions.
I have so many questions, and people are going to be like, why does it matter, Cassie? And I'm going to be like, I don't know. It just does.
It does.
What did her
That's okay.
sword look like? Anyways, continue.
You're Googling it right now, aren't
I
you?
sure fucking am, okay?
Okay, and then we're going into my least favorite point on uh, Canada, which is part of the Commonwealth, and that is uh, the secret offer King Charles is planning to make Donald Trump that would make America royal again. Is a member of the Royal Commonwealth Society during Commonwealth Week. Apparently, somebody told the Daily Mail that there's a possibility of America making entry into the Commonwealth, and it is being discussed at the highest levels. Quote, wonderful move that would symbolize Britain's close relationship with the US. And Donald Trump said, I love King Charles. Sounds good to me. So we're going to talk about the Commonwealth in another episode. But I wouldn't mind being part of the Commonwealth because it is just a group of nations that want to work together to make everybody better. But first of all, it wouldn't make us royal again because it's not under the control of the monarchy. It is just a group of nations that work together. And it doesn't have anything to do with King Charles other than without getting too much into it, he is the head of the Commonwealth, but he was voted into that position. I don't know. I just this is not going to be discussed with Donald Trump apparently until they have that second state visit that for some reason Donald Trump gets and nobody else does. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh.
How do you feel about being part of the Commonwealth?
I mean, if it's just like, hey, we're buddies again. We've been friendly with them for a long time, but like, I don't know. I don't know that
From what I heard,
I don't want
they
to.
want to start us off as an associate member, which I don't know what that means, but it's less than a regular member. And then eventually you work your way up to being a full Commonwealth member.
Well, that's weird. That it's like a tiered club. Where it's like, okay, I'm a bronze sponsor of Tim until Tim proves his worth. And then once I've sponsored Tim for a year and Tim has behaved and said,
Well, it's like you're a club, right? And somebody wants to be in your club, and you're like, you can be a temporary member for a while, and we'll see how it goes. And then if we like you, you can join our club.
right, but we can kick you out at any moment.
My other problem is I don't think this is actually something Trump wants, and he obviously hasn't thought about it because you would have to
Does he think about any?
put money into the Commonwealth, which is taking care of other countries, which is not something he seems interested in.
Oh, yeah. He probably has no idea how this partnership works then.
No, he just said, I like King Charles.
Yep, he sure did. My other thing too is like, I don't know if what's going on where like Nobody seems to have learned history in the last 50 years. I don't know. Um,
No, we're fixing history. That's what we're doing now.
but it's like we literally had a
Yeah.
war called the Revolutionary War, in which we left the UK.
But we wouldn't be joining the UK.
Now, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, isn't it funny? I don't know.
It would be like joining a treaty of nations.
I guess, and like that's fair. But it sounds like you also have to buy into it, right?
This is what I'm talking about, like with the whole like I have a lot more context than you, is that I feel like a lot of people have, especially in America, that same notion about the Commonwealth that it is like British Empire 2.0.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Because, like, for me, when you say the Commonwealth, I don't think about a collective of countries. I think about the UK.
Yeah, but really it's a group of countries that choose to work together, and like countries join all the time. Like they apply to join.
Interesting.
And like
Okay.
some countries have dropped the king as their head of state, but they still want to be in the Commonwealth.
Interesting. Okay. So who becomes the head of state? Or you just like don't like
You just get like your president or whatever, you're a regular sovereign state.
interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that's a completely fair point. I did not know like cuz like I said, for me, when I hear the word Commonwealth, I automatically think
Which
UK.
also makes me question like what is Donald Trump thinking? Because I know he doesn't know anything. I know he doesn't know about it. He has not put any research into it.
Right.
So, like, does he think he's joining the United Kingdom again?
Which would be weird. I don't know. I anything.
I also think that his love for the royal family and King Charles and Prince William is only dependent on the fact that those royals are trained their whole lives to be diplomats and make everybody like their country. So they're not going to say anything to Donald Trump to make him mad. But if at some point they have to like put their foot down on like, you can't take Canada as a 51st state, I am their king, I don't think Donald Trump's going to like him anymore.
I think you're probably correct.
So, like, this is just a bunch of stuff to watch, you know?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, Canada.
Oh,
We're going to move on.
Canada.
We're going to move on from Canada to the great state of Estonia. Who loves it? I love it.
I can't say I know much about Estonia.
Well, I was going to say, how much do you know about the Baltic states?
Not much.
Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia are all like three little countries that are in between the Baltic Sea and Russia.
Hmm.
And Russia has a fun time of trying to, like, they really love to be like, hey, can we annex you? No.
No,
Are
thank
you sure?
you.
So they're in a really precarious spot. So NATO has sent troops to Estonia a while ago during the conflict with Ukraine
Hmm.
to not only help them with Ukrainian refugees that are going into Estonia, uh, but also to protect Estonia. To be like, hey, we have troops over here. Please leave them alone. So, on the 20th and the 21st, the Prince of Wales, he had a 35-minute meeting with the President of Estonia discussing the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Um, oh, I put in a note that I was a little concerned that we were sending the Prince of Wales so close to the Russian border,
Mm.
and that we were announcing it a week ahead of time because usually when we send people places that seem a little unsafe, we don't know they're there until they're there.
Which, don't announce your plans before. I
Yeah.
understand the concern,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but nothing happened,
And like
so that's nice.
nothing happened, and they said that obviously they wouldn't do that if they didn't think it was safe. But also, we were interviewing people in Estonia while he was there, and people are talking about there's been constant waves of cyber attacks and misinformation coming from Russia. And somebody was she working at the school? I think she was working at the school. She basically said, if Ukraine falls, then we're going to have to fight for our lives in Estonia. So I don't see how that's safe, but I'm not a military expert. I
Right.
just I just think that Putin's a little unpredictable.
As he has proven time and time again.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. He was obsessed with that dog for like a minute. He went on a walkabout on the first day where he just like saw a bunch of fans. He did see a corgi. He saw a couple other dogs, but he was like talking to this dog for a solid minute.
He looks thrilled. He looks like that dog made his day. And honestly, when you're talking to the people, perhaps spending more time on the dog. I mean, I get it. I would do the same. Very human of him. But when the highlight of your
It's a
day is
cute dog.
dog.
We'll get to the other stuff in a second. I just couldn't remember what the next slide was, to be honest. But I was gonna go over the fact that like a little brief history on Estonia Russian relations. So, during World War II, which is a fun time to talk about these days, Estonia was occupied and annexed by the Soviet Union, which was not recognized by the rest of Europe, but it still made them like change their flag and all of their exports and government and everything. So
And everything.
and everything. So it started off with the Soviet Union and the Nazis. This is not sounding great. Uh, having a little discussion, and they decided together that it was okay for the Soviet Union to take over Estonia, and that the Nazis would leave it alone. Like that's for you. You can have
You
that.
can
Okay,
have
cool.
that.
But then later, the Nazis were like, never mind, we would like to have that. So then they started fighting for it, and some of the Estonians started fighting for the Nazis to get rid of the Soviets.
Oh no.
Eventually, the Soviets win that one, and they stayed in the Soviet. Yeah, right? Great. So happy for you.
Not
Uh,
Nazis.
they stayed in the Soviet Union until the early
Oh
90s
wow.
because they couldn't detach themselves. Because it's a tiny country of slightly over 1 million people.
How did they get out then? How did they leave this abusive relationship?
I think everybody in the Soviet Union was starting to break apart.
Oh, so it was just kind of natural break.
This is about when the the Commonwealth of Independent States is formed, where the Soviet Union breaks off into other countries. So, like, Ukraine leaves, and still, it's really complicated and very off topic. But the Commonwealth of Independent States, the Baltic states, the three, Estonia, Latvia, and
Lithuania.
Lithuania, they wanted nothing to do with that. We're like, we don't want to be part of your stupid Commonwealth. We didn't want to be in your stupid Soviet Union. Leave us alone.
We are over here
Right?
and you are over there.
Yeah. So there was like I think it's 9 different countries that made up the Commonwealth of Independent States. For some reason, Ukraine was a founding member of the Commonwealth, but was never really a full member. I don't
Okay.
know how that works, but I don't know if it's like, I guess if this is what we have to do to sign some papers for you to like get out of our country, then cool, but
Sure.
we don't want to play ball anymore. Why they didn't like if the three Baltic states could just opt out, I'm not sure why Ukraine just didn't opt out. But again, not an expert on this topic.
Okay. Regardless.
The point is they had been um they'd been so connected to the USSR and Russia for so long that their power grid was being powered by Russia. So even when they left in the 90s, they were still getting their electricity from Russia until February this year,
Woo!
which causes some conflict.
I imagine.
So they were on the Brel power grid, and the Brel stood for Belarus, Russia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Mhm.
And then they switched over to the EU network in February. And so the amount of conflict is starting to rise a little bit. And so NATO and especially the UK has been sending people out there to just like re-emphasize their like soft power of being like, hey, we support these guys. Go away.
We're still here too.
We're still here with our tanks. Leave these people alone.
Nicely.
Uh, okay. Did I get my... Oh, I did not put a picture of it. Okay. I thought I had a picture of it, but Keir Starmer visited them in Estonia back in December. And also Prince Edward visited like a couple of months ago. And Prince Edward visited 6 months ago because the troops are on like a 6 month rotation,
Okay.
where like you just get sent out there for 6 months. And so the reason that Prince William was out there was he was there for the like the handoff ceremony from one set of troops to the other, and he is the colonel in chief of the troops that are there now.
Got it.
Okay, we'll talk about that more in a bit when we get to the military base. But let's talk about the walkabout because there was a dog. He spent a lot of time out there with the people. He took a lot of selfies, which is new for royals to not only take pictures with people, but grab your phone and take it for you to make sure you get your picture so you're not sad at the end of the day when you fucked it up.
Oh my god.
So there's lots of these pictures. One of them is a video where he's taking a selfie with somebody's phone, and she's got either one of those like monitors or a battery pack on the back, and it like falls off and hits the ground. And he's like, "Oh, sorry."
They're just like us.
But I just think that that's really nice that he's like making sure that you get your picture because you're never gonna see him again.
And he's not charging you money for it.
Yeah, $5.
Imagine having your phone snatched, the picture taken, and then they hold your phone and go, okay, $5.
I mean, that's essentially what those people do in Times Square.
Yeah, you're right.
They're like, come take a picture with me. And then they're like, you owe me $20.
I would just punch him and run away.
Okay, so this guy,
I love this basket.
I love this basket. But
So cute.
apparently, I guess, obviously, security looked at him a little strange to make sure there was nothing deadly in the basket.
Right.
but we let him have it anyways. But I just thought that this was adorable because they interviewed this guy afterwards, and he said that he gave him like fresh fruit and vegetables and protein because his wife and his dad have had cancer issues in the last year. And he's like, I just wanted to give you like the gift of health. And he's like, I have a quote. He asked if the vegetables were Estonian. I told him yes. I bought them. I bought them at the local market. I didn't go into the full story about cancer and muscle mass at that moment, but I shared the core message of eat your vegetables, prioritize your protein, and stay healthy. I was like, that is such a sweet gift.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's nice.
So nice. And then to have a little Canada moment because the news has been on a kick about that. William's jacket is Lululemon, which is a Canadian company.
Hysterical.
And they were like, he's clearly sending a sign of support for Canada.
Or he's just a dude with money who likes the brands that other people with money like.
I was like, maybe he just likes a really mainstream jacket.
See, and that's a thing for me where sometimes like you hear this stuff and it's like, I mean, and it happens with like shows like Severance. I'm sure you've seen a zillion theories. But like I feel like some people go so far down the rabbit hole like just trying to grasp at straws and you're like,
Mhm.
maybe when the author said the woman's dress was red, she wasn't implying that she was enraged and impassioned, but rather just that she likes the color red.
No, we're going with every fringe theory you can come up with.
Ah,
Okay, then we went to the Clean Tech Association. It's a company called Sunly. And if you see on the table,
they do
there
windmills
is,
and
yes,
renewable
it is
energy.
it's a little model. It's a school for ants, is what it is.
Sorry, Sentebale, I'm taking my. We're taking everything and we're going over here. I know that's his brother, but still.
Yeah, it's a model of the Risti Energy Park, and this is again something that I went like a little too deep divey, and I tried to make it concise because we're still just talking about the news.
Okay.
Um,
Oh God.
well, according to the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, EU countries still paid Russia $1.3 billion for fossil fuel imports in February alone.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, because in order to make electricity, you have to use some sort of fuel source
Right.
to heat up water and make steam to make the turbines spin,
What a
to make the electricity.
what a crazy
So,
concept.
right, so in order to do that, you have to still buy fossil fuels from Russia. So we're trying to not do that anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so this Risti Energy Park is a 335 million euro investment representing the largest solar installation in the Baltics, which once completed, it'll cover 7% of Estonia's total electricity consumption. So I'm hoping these aren't too large landmass wise because you're gonna need more. Uh,
Right. I was gonna say, I'm like, okay, 7%.
so this is a hybrid park concept that combines solar, wind, and battery storage because a lot of these energy parks have a problem of either being wind or solar, and then they also don't make enough battery storage, so they end up just like wasting energy, just like getting rid of it. I don't know how you do that, but
We're just not capturing it.
yeah. Well, they said wasting it. That was the word.
I mean,
Anyways,
I would guess that in a way you're still wasting it if the. It's like having a net in the stream for fish, but like
For fish.
I was gonna say salmon, and I was
Yeah.
like, I guess it could be for any fish. Um, so the net's there, but like if you don't, if say your holes aren't big enough, essentially, or your holes are too big, and like you're just letting the fish pass through, you're kind of
Yeah.
wasting the net. So in this situation, if you have the turbine there, you're wasting
Yeah.
the wind energy because you have nowhere to put it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's my guess.
But also, this is also solving, so we're going to have more battery storage, so we're not wasting or losing or letting it go. And also, if you have just solar or wind, you don't, especially all the way up north, you don't get sun all the time.
Right.
The wind is come and go with the wind. And so this does sun and wind. It's like we're going to get the energy
One way or the
wherever we
other.
can get it. And we're going to store it in this extra battery store. I don't know why nobody thought of this beforehand, but we're doing it now.
Okay, so that's what I think about where I'm like, really? Like, why is this so revolutionary when it's like, ah, oh, dang, some days it's sunny and some days it's not. Some
And
days
some
it's
days it's windy.
windy and some days it's not. But we can
If
only
only we had a way.
but we can only pick one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're fixing that.
Well, good. I'm glad in the year 2025 someone was like, what if we did it together?
So, yeah, again, I'm hoping that doesn't take up a ton of space because if it's only gonna do 7%
Yeah, right.
and we're
It's such a
trying to
small amount.
stop paying Russia for things. Da, da,
A
da.
friendship bracelet? Is that what that is?
He did get a friendship bracelet. He got it from he went to the the Tallinn Freedom School where they have a bunch of Ukrainian refugee students and he played a little b-ball with them
Outside
and
of the school.
exactly. One of the students gave him a friendship bracelet with the Ukrainian flag colors.
Adorable. Love it.
He made a comment that Princess Charlotte is probably going to steal that from him as soon as he gets home because she loves us. Apparently, people think that it's because she might be a fan of Taylor Swift. I don't. I'm not a. I'm not a Swiftie, so I think she does. I think her fans make a lot of
I think a lot of
friendship
people
bracelets.
do. We got friendship bracelets at the Kaiser's Orchestra concert.
Yeah, but that I think is started from the Swifties. I think they started the whole giving out friendship bracelets at a concert thing.
Okay, so you're right. It is a Swifty thing because during the Eras tour, fans took the lyrics, so make the friendship bracelets from Swift's song You're on Your Own, Kid, literally. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I've seen friendship bracelets at concerts, but I guess it's been since then, and I guess she did that. Good for her. She's a
yeah, she did that.
she's amazing.
Love it.
What can't she do?
She's a female founder.
You said it.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna put timestamps on our video. Okay, so we went to the Tapa Air Force Base. Air Force? Military base. Tapa Camp. We went to Tapa Camp.
That sounds way more fun. We went to camp.
We went to Tapa Camp. Yeah, so obviously he went to zoom around in the tank. That was fun.
Super fun.
Good times. I think he did some other military exercises. It that stuff I'm not that interested in, but he had fun time.
Whee!
And then he went to hang out in like their living quarters. I thought this part was nice where he seemed that's the cat. Anyways, he was really interested in like what it's like there on a daily basis. Um, and he was worried about soldiers' mental health. I'm wondering if he'd heard some rumors or something about what goes on around here because he specifically asked the soldiers if they feared career repercussions for seeking mental health support and found out there was only like one officer there for mental wellness.
Hmm.
And so he was like, we're gonna work on that.
Got it.
We're gonna get you some more mental health stuff because
That's
some of this is intense.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
He also noticed that they didn't have a refrigerator. So I think he left them some money. And he didn't say that it's definitely for a refrigerator. They can get what they want, like whatever they feel like they need. But he thinks a refrigerator and a toasty machine would be good. And I had to look up what a toasty machine was.
Is it a toaster?
It's a panini press.
A toasty machine. That makes it sound way cuter than panini press.
Because he was like, I know I love a good cheese toasty at the end of the day. And I was like,
Cheese
you can't put
toasty.
cheese in a toaster, so what?
For some reason, a cheese toasty sounds like a disgusting, like nightcap with spray cheese.
Ooh.
Cheese toasty.
Ew.
Spray
Ew.
cheese on the rim.
No, it's okay.
I don't know why that's. See, again, this is why. Not diagnosed, but peer reviewed.
Yeah. Okay, so
But I love this. This is very sweet.
yes, I did like that too.
I
So these are yep,
I was just gonna say I think it'd be funny if they just blew the money on like takeout.
whatever. If that helps your mental health,
I guess
I'm sure
so.
Prince William's for it.
Sure. Okay.
Uh, so I just wanted to put in a little bit of Prince Edward was here a couple months ago, and he went on like some more winter military exercises. It said it was like an overnight thing, but I don't know if he spent overnight out in the woods with
Ooh,
them.
intense.
Yeah.
Intense.
But
That was bad. I'm sorry. I said it and I was like, oh no.
he's colonel in chief of the Royal Dragoon Guards, who were the troops there before Prince William's Mercian Guards.
So, okay. Do they each get like a name for their little club? Their little military group?
So the military just has a bunch of different groups.
With names.
And so what do you mean by names? Like the Royal
Yeah,
Dragoon
what is
name
that?
or
Is that like the Navy versus the military? Like what is that?
it's just a group in the military?
With a silly name.
It's not like the military and the Air Force and the Army and the Navy. There's lots of other smaller groups that all have their own battalions in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We can add that as a topic if you want to deep dive that.
I mean, I'd be curious.
Okay.
Add it to the list.
I'm gonna write it down
Okay.
on my handy dandy notebook.
That's why you got it.
Military. What it do?
How it work. Okay.
My fun fact for Prince Edward and Estonia. I'm just realizing it got real dark in here. Um, so Prince Edward. In the early 90s, Estonia becomes its own nation again, free from the USSR. And one of the parties, the Independent Royalist Party of Estonia, which won 8 seats in parliament in 1994, was thinking, we could become a monarchy. And they decided to contact Queen Elizabeth to see if she'd offer her blessing to have Prince Edward as King of Estonia. Buckingham Palace politely declined the advance, replying that it was a charming idea, but a rather unlikely one.
Oh, how charming. No.
I've seen a couple other people talk about this, and they're like, I'm sure they were kidding. And I'm like, were they though?
How can you
Do you
be so
get
sure?
do you get together as a government group and write to Buckingham Palace as a joke?
Hey guys, you know what would be funny?
You know, it'd be hilarious.
Let's prank write a letter to the Queen.
You're like, hey lady, give me your son. The youngest one will do.
We don't really like you because you're a lady.
So I mean, this kind of harkens back to like 1800s Europe, where different governments and different states are forming and dissolving, and every now and then a new monarchy is needed, and the big powers in Europe would get together and decide which royal was going to become the new king over here. So it's kind of like that, except the country was like, we'll have that one.
And then we go, that one's not for sale. Good luck with
Okay.
that.
So we're about to switch gears on the news.
Okay.
To our favorite. Just wanted to mention this one. I really was hoping to not talk about her this week because her podcast is coming out in a few days and we're going to talk about that, or at least I'm going to listen to it, and if I have thoughts, I will bring them up.
Okay.
For the most part, okay, maybe I should get your opinion before I start spewing.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Meghan's Shop My page as opposed to Meghan having a show, Meghan starting a quote unquote brand that doesn't sell anything yet?
I think so. We've also a little bit talked about this, and I can agree with you. We're like, this feels like for somebody who says they don't want to be an influencer, having a curated page of commissionable links is what influencers do.
Mm-hmm. It is peak influencer. Like you're living your life and showing it to people to influence them to purchase the products that seem to make your life so magical.
Yeah.
So as someone who's entrenched in the royal stuff, my problem is the use of the title Duchess of Sussex directly associated with flogging other people's shit.
Yeah, solid. I feel that.
Like, you could, if she just was like, whole hog, I'm an influencer, my name is Meghan. Even if she, for some stupid reason, wanted to be known as Meghan Sussex. If she just did that, I'd be like, whatever. Apparently, that's her thing. I don't really like celebrities that try to be influencers because I feel like influencing is a something you do to work your way up from the bottom of society. You don't start at royalty and then take people's money as an influencer.
Right.
As royalty, you have enough. I almost said clout. That's the wrong word. That's the internety word. You have enough privileges and influence on more. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, you have more privilege to get your money from rich people.
Right. Not
And
everyday
stop
people.
getting your money from the people below you.
Right. Fair. That
I don't know if like influencer almost feels like you're almost, I don't know. It's like I just feel like an influencer should be somebody working their way from the bottom up.
mm-hmm.
But also the thing that irritates me more is directly typing out your title as I'm a duchess. Don't you want to buy stuff for me? Like it's been said and I can't find like irrefutable sources, but it's been said that like the reason that you had to be all in or all out on the royal family is because they were saying to the queen, we would like to do this like half and half thing
Right.
because we don't want to work all the time for you. And we would also like to make our own money so people can't say that we're like they can control us because we make our money off of the taxpayer. So we want to make our own money.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, but you can't use your privilege and your status as a duchess
To
of
do
my
that.
family
Right. To monetize
to do
yourself.
that. Right.
And
This is
in,
trashy.
in a situation like this where it's like, I mean, yes, you're being forthcoming that like you'd earn a commission off buying off of this, but like, why do you have to do that in the first place? Like, I can understand like my closet. Maybe you do want to share what clothes you're wearing, but why do you have to earn money off of it?
hmm
Like that piece
hmm
alone for me is like,
You could just post on Instagram what you were wearing that day and like tag the company,
right.
and then people could go buy it on their own. I don't know why you need to make money. Like one of the,
Unless you're desperate for money.
I know that a lot of the times like the tabloids and the news try to make a lot more out of things than they are, but like one of the things that she's trying to sell is this purse that they make, like Rwanda women make. I think it's a cesta bag.
Okay.
And it's just, did I explain in the last episode my issue with Meghan and trying to like represent Rwanda as like this place where they really uplift women because 60% of the government is women?
No.
Oh, so she's been to Rwanda to do philanthropic stuff.
Okay.
And she went on Larry King and a couple other interviews. This is back when she was just an actress. She didn't meet Harry yet.
Okay.
And she's trying to say how, like, the Rwandan people are so, like, progressive because 60% of their government is made of women. And even Larry King came back and was like, but Meghan, is, isn't that a problem because the only reason there are so many women in the government is that there's been mass like genocide
Right.
and murder. And so there are less and less men and somebody has to do it. And she's like, yeah, but it's really empowering the women. I'm like,
Okay.
maybe you should stop bringing that story up because now she's doing it with this bag where she's like, it's made by Rwandan women. Uh, and it's like it's hundreds of dollars for the bag. And the tabloids went and they found out that these women are getting paid 10 cents an hour to make this bag. So, like, whatever she's going to make on commission from you buying this bag on that link, she's probably going to get paid more than those women get paid in a month
Mm-hmm.
to make the bags.
Right.
So that's great. Like, she just really doesn't put a lot of research or thought into these things. Anyways, yeah. So while I was trying to emphasize that it's the actual tacking on of the title that bothers me when you're selling things, um, because that is something somebody had to physically type out. Her title didn't just magic its way onto this page.
Right.
Like, that was a choice.
It's
And
not
so
like anybody else with one of these pages, like, would be their name plus title.
So I thought it was really interesting that a few days ago, and I don't usually get into the royal families in other countries because I have enough on my plate with one family. But Princess Madeline of Sweden is starting a skincare company. And she posted on Instagram that our product range will officially launch at the end of the summer. And as this is a private initiative, I will use my name, Madeline Bernadette, in my work with Minland. Instead of saying, I am Princess Madeline, buy my stuff.
Right.
And I was like, here's an example of a royal going, this is a private initiative. So I'm not putting my title on it.
Right. I'm not applying it to this situation.
I'm not making money off my title. I mean, obviously, people are going to buy it because they know who she is.
Right.
But on the other hand, like, I feel like it's different when you're physically putting your title on there.
Agreed.
Okay. I'm glad we agree. Now we're going to get into more petty stuff because I just want to emphasize what's happening in Meghan PR land while Harry's life is falling apart. And I don't know if you know, but they're married.
Do know that.
Because if you saw the news and Meghan's news and Harry's news, you would never know. That was just Meghan saying that she doesn't identify as an influencer. I see myself as an entrepreneur and a female founder. Okay. So we get to the Gwyneth Paltrow of it all. Have you heard about the Gwyneth Paltrow of it all?
I have heard that she made a comment about the situation and basically being like, women shouldn't tear other women down. But I also
Yeah,
don't really know her. Like,
I don't. So when I try to explain like why I'm not a fan of Meghan, like if we took out all the royal stuff, I wouldn't be a fan of her. I always would say that she reminds me of people like Gwyneth Paltrow, who there's not a lot of substance there. They're very detached from reality, or at least from our reality. And they just have lots of money and they want to make more off of you. And they oftentimes will do these virtue signally things. They're like the same kind of people. And Meghan, since she left the royal family, has started dressing a lot like Gwyneth and lives down the street from Gwyneth. And so Gwyneth was asked about Meghan's new show in a magazine. And she obviously said that I don't know Meghan and Harry. I mean, I've met Meghan, who seems really lovely, but I don't know her at all. The possibility of developing a friendship with the Sussexes isn't totally off the table. Maybe I'll try to get through their security detail and bring them a pie. Which continues Well, Paltrow has yet to see the trailer because this was right before the show came out. She brushes off any comparison between the Duchess's new business ventures and her own goop brand. I was raised to see other women as friends, not foes. I think there's always more than enough to go around. Everybody deserves an attempt at everything they want to do. When there's noise, when she's interested in okay. She's uninterested in hopping on a hateful bandwagon that pits women against each other. There's noise about certain women in culture. I do have always a strong instinct to stand up for them, which is not my philosophy on life. Usually, when there's a big stink about somebody, I go investigate and then make an opinion. But okay. But for some reason, some people, I'm gonna say more people on like the I hate Meghan train, were trying to twist this into saying she was snubbing Meghan, I guess from the line of like, I don't know her. But
I guess if you read
from
it, it's like a like I don't know her versus a I don't know her,
right, I've met her. Seems great.
right?
But what I got from this was it was just like, I don't have any beef with her.
I'm not gonna
I
make
don't
any,
know her. I don't have anything to say because I don't know her.
right?
And then the next thing we get is if you go on Gwyneth's Instagram, she does this video where she's making breakfast, and I'm gonna see. Let me know if you can hear it. No, I turned the sound off because it's playing. This will be from Natalie Cole, and I didn't want to get
Okay, got it.
copyright. But like everybody's saying that this video looks a lot like Megan's
So
show, but she's not made up. She has no makeup on. She's in her pajamas. She is making scones from the freezer. So she's like, I don't know. I don't know what people thought. Like they thought somehow she was snarking on Megan's show.
I think she was just
And
making breakfast.
I think it's the music in the background because it's a very Megan song.
Mm,
This will be.
yeah,
Um Also like Gwyneth's whole aesthetic is the same aesthetic as Megan, but that's Gwyneth. Like that's just how she's always been. Also, if you go back on her Instagram page, she makes videos of her making breakfast. Like this is not
unusual.
unusual. So people made it into a thing. Here's where this next video is where it made me want to say something because it's very cringy. If I could get to the next page, that would be great. I want to go to the next page. This one should have sound.
I genuinely do not understand this at all whatsoever. Do you understand this?
Can you read
So it
the
said,
blurb?
"Are you comprehending the Meghan Markle beef that social media has said you two have?" Right?
Yeah.
I genuinely do not understand this at all whatsoever. Do you understand this?
And I just thought it was like the cringiest piece of garbage I've ever seen.
It's really, really something.
Like, we know Megan's never been to your house, and she came over just for this. And it's in her smile that she is smug as fuck. She's hanging out with Gwyneth Paltrow right now. But this is what's happening with Megan.
I genuinely do.
Well, we're all dealing with Prince Harry, which we're going to start off real quickly with the first legal problem. He always has multiple legal problems happening. Have you heard about his visa issues?
No.
So, do you know the Heritage Foundation in the US?
Yes.
It's like a conservative think tank
Yeah.
of like hyper nosy people. I just so their thought process is he came into this country. He has a visa. He had to apply for said visa. On the visa application, it asks if you've ever, I don't know if it asks if you've ever done certain drugs or if you've ever been convicted. Because that's never been expressed in any of these articles.
Okay.
But either way, they're trying to say that either he lied on the visa and said that he's never done drugs, like illegal drugs, and that he's then gone on interviews and written in his book multiple times that he's done drugs not only in the UK, but he's done them on American soil. And so either he's lying or the government is giving him special treatment. And so they're trying to get his visa application from the government. And we keep getting highly redacted documents that look just like this one that aren't giving you any answers. Like, I don't think you can read it, but it's not really necessary because it doesn't tell you anything. But the only part you can read is the page, the people saying, these are reasons we can't tell you what is on his application for privacy reasons. That's been going on for over a year.
Okay.
And they got these documents that are redacted, and they're now going to apparently sue again. They're going to keep trying. They're going back to the courts to try to figure out if he lied or not.
Time and money
And it's like,
on this.
right? Who cares?
Right?
Like, if he got special treatment,
Are you surprised?
okay,
Right.
he came into the country at the beginning of 2020, which was still under Trump's administration. But you're trying to say that Biden let him in.
How
Okay.
convenient.
I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, I don't care.
That's fair. And honestly, like I said, like, why are people so surprised?
Right. I mean, they keep referencing that, like, Amy Winehouse wasn't allowed in the country.
What?
Like, other celebrities haven't been let in because of their drug use.
What?
Okay? Like,
I've never heard that before, but okay.
I just think in a time where we are deporting full-on green card holders and citizens from our country to El Salvador, I don't care about this.
Somebody does, though. Somebody with nothing else to do does.
Yeah. I wish it would stop. I wish it would stop coming up in the news. That is one thing. Before we go into the Sentebale thing, because I want to we're at a point where there's some information out there and people are trying to make up their minds already about who they believe did what, and I don't think we're in a spot where we can do that. I just want to also point out that Prince Harry is associated with, and by associated with, I mean he was president of for 6 years and then was promoted to be on the board of another charity, a wildlife charity in Africa called African Parks. I don't know if you've heard about this one.
No.
So in like the last couple of years, there have been a lot of allegations um, that are 1,000 times worse than what is happening with Sentebale. And at Sentebale, he was just a patron, like face of it, patron and co-founder. But he was not in a seat of making decisions. He is on the board for this other place, African Parks, there's allegations of guards and I think rangers for the charity who have beaten, tortured, sexually abused, assaulted indigenous people in the area,
Hmm.
amongst a million other things that I haven't even looked into because it is so horrible. And Harry has done nothing except like write to the other people at the charity to say you should do something about this.
I hadn't
So
even heard of this before.
that's been going on.
Yeah, this is
It's
like
horrendous.
2024.
Oh, yeah, I have some notes. Uh After serving 6 years as president, he was elevated to an officially appointed member of the board of directors, the governing body of the organization. So, why don't you go over there and do something?
Right? No, I'm gonna write a
Also,
letter.
you keep having charities in Africa and saying how much you love Africa. Why aren't you just living in Africa at this point?
Right?
Because it's not really working out for you working with these charities and having like no connection because you're in America.
And like
But if we,
I
yeah,
was just gonna say, I understand it a little bit more in this one because I understand that like Sentebale was set up like in his mom's memory like a while ago. I can't speak to what African Parks like what that deal is, but like that one I can at least like a little bit be like, okay, I understand. But it's like if you're on the board of something, that implies you should be a little more hands on.
right. Like I didn't even know that fact until now. I thought he was just associated with it, which is why he was like, "Hey guys, fix it," and then kind of didn't say anything else until I went and researched real quick. Like what does he do for African parks? And I read that. And I was like, "Oh, you're on the board of directors. Maybe you should do something."
Right? What a wild concept.
But for this one, for Sentebale, which seems to be more of like issues with running the charity, um, he co-founded it with Prince Seso of Lesotho, who is that guy right there. And they both are second sons, so both their brothers are going to be king. His Prince Seso's brother is here comes the cat.
What an interesting
Here
name.
we go. Okay. She stepped on stuff. I don't know what happened. Prince Aesol's brother is king now. Um, both of their mothers passed away before they co-founded this charity in 2006. Both their moms worked with like the AIDS and HIV crisis that used to be a bigger problem than it is now,
Mhm.
fortunately. Um, and the charity works for the countries of Lesotho and Botswana. Sentebale means forget-me-not, which some people say is to, like, it could have been Diana's favorite flower, but Harry, in an interview back when he was like 21 or something, he said it was more of like a don't forget these children kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 19 years old when he co-founded a charity. And if you read Spare, and I think you could kind of get this feeling just in general if you knew about him at all the time. The charity was good for him in that it's good PR wise because he was a hellion in his teenage and early 20 years. It was good PR, but also in the book he talks about the fact that he helped like build schools and stuff and like mix concrete and like did hard work. And I feel like that stuff was good for him because he needed to release some energy. I'll just say that.
He actually got military camp in a way. Where it's like,
Yeah, and then he went into the military and did more of it.
and then turned out a little bit better. Not a lot,
Slightly.
But
A little bit. Oh. Oh, that's his statement. I guess we'll read it now. I was going to go on to Sophie, but yeah. So Harry and Prince Harry and Prince Say So. I was only going to put Prince on Say So, and I realized that was probably rude. They said in a joint statement on Tuesday in the Times, the London Times. These trustees, because I don't know how much you know about what happened, but not only did Prince Say So and Prince Harry leave as patrons, but a bunch of the trustees left the charity because they were butting heads with the chair. So the trustees acted in the best interests of the charity in asking the chair to step down while keeping the well-being of staff in mind. In turn, she sued the charity to remain in the voluntary position, further underscoring the broken relationship. We thank all these trustees for their service over the years and are truly heartbroken that they've had to follow through with this act. What transpired is unthinkable. We are in shock that we have to do this, but we have continued responsibility to Sentebale's beneficiaries, so we will be sharing all of our concerns with the Charity Commission as to how this came about. Today's decision is nothing short of devastating for all of us, but we see no other path forward as the result of our loss in trust and confidence in the chair of the board. So, all that to say is we're throwing the chair of the board under the bus. That's fantastic. Love that. Okay. So Dr. Sophie Chandauka is the chair in question. Here she is. She looks lovely. Obviously, this is a polo day because there's also Nacho Figuera. It's Harry's polo friend.
okay.
Yeah. She's a well-known corporate finance lawyer who was born in Zimbabwe. She also went to school in London and the United States and in Canada. She's a smart cookie. She was appointed as chair of Sentebale in 2023. She was on the board of trustees from 2009 to 2015. So she's not new. She's been around this charity for a while. She knows these people. She came under fire in early 2025 for her behavior as chair, and she was asked to resign from her role. The dispute reportedly arose around decision to focus fundraising in Africa. She refused to resign and instead sued the charity so she wouldn't have to leave her position. I'm just saying, you don't sue unless you have some evidence.
True.
as I'm reading this, I'm just gonna say I'm leaning on her side, but if things are proven otherwise, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket.
Fair. I don't know. I think after watching like her interview, compared to the little that he has said in very curated public statements,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like why would you go on a news outlet and say all that yourself? Like it's one thing to have like somebody go say like stuff for you, but I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
different to show up yourself and answer the questions and be like, "Here's what happened."
Yeah. So I think we'll just skip because I had to update these as things were coming out this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I put in her initial statement. I don't think we really need to go over it because I do want to go over the interview more. Yeah, we'll skip that. Oh, also, I put in this video. This is for context. Have you seen this video?
No.
So last year there was a polo match to raise money for Sentebale, which this polo match is obviously put on by Sentebale. Um, was also in the last episode of that polo show that I said I would never watch.
Mm.
I watched, I Googled it real quick to see if any of this shows up in that show. And the beginning of the last episode, they show some of this.
So this is the part where like she was talking about how like they were supposed to hold it at one place and it was going to be free or whatever. And then he said, "Oh no, I want to film some of the Netflix show."
And they were like, oh, this is commercial now,
Right. We don't want.
not charitable.
Right. And they had to change their entire plan.
Yeah. So we were all having a little hee hee over this moment where they're trying to have a picture taken with the award, and she's trying to stand next to Harry, but Meghan doesn't seem to want her to stand next to Harry. Like Meghan wants to be in the center stuff.
Right.
And so she's kind of like directing her
Right. She's like, "No,
to the
come over
center.
here. Stand over here. Right here."
She does it, and I feel like she does it in that kind of like passive way of like, don't you want to stand over here? Don't you want to stand over here?
I can kind of see that.
I didn't make too much of it because I can make you a montage of times that Meghan's been awkward on a stage. Whether it's another polo match where she doesn't know where to stand with the award, and it's like, why are you even here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not a polo player. You're not part of Sentebale. You're just like, I'm gonna be in the picture.
You're just
'cause
away.
I'm dressed up. Okay. Um. Yeah. And like other times, she does this where people are trying to pick a picture, and she knows where she wants to stand, and she kind of tries to make people go places, and it's awkward. And like, many times she'll be on a stage where people are speaking and she'll reach for the mic when nobody's handing it to her.
That's a choice.
Yeah. So like there's many times where it's like I don't know, she's awkward is what we're putting.
Okay.
Okay, we don't need to watch it again. The executive director of Sentebale also did a statement basically just backing up the chair and saying that the charity is going to just keep chugging along. Everything's fine. But on Harry's side, we've got two of the trustees that left. One did an interview for Sky saying he's like, I don't know what that Sophie lady's talking about. And Baroness Chalker also said that she said that Sophie was very dictatorial. And I just think if we focus on the fact that she was a trustee for the entire time that that charity's been around, that maybe she wasn't so much into any fresh ideas that Sophie wanted to
Right.
bring in. That's one of Sophie's points in the interview, is that there's these people that have been there way longer than the recommended amount of time, which is no more than 9 years. And it's not only are you like entrenched and you don't want to change things, but also like you become like probably, I just feel like everybody there probably after 20 years got a little more comfortable.
Right.
So like when Harry introduces stuff, it's just automatically made part of whatever it is. Like he's has any sort of control over what happens with the charity just because everybody wants to get along.
Right.
Okay, so the fun fact,
Woo!
this guy is Ian Rawlinson. He is an experienced chair and board director, charity trustee, and strategy advisor. He served as chair of the Tusk Trust from 2002 to 2013, and he is a new trustee for Sentebale after Harry left. Fun fact about the Tusk Trust is Prince William has been patron of the Tusk Trust since 2005. So this guy's going, like 10 years ago, he left the Tusk Trust, but he used to work with William for about 10 years. And now he's moving into Harry's thing after Harry gets taken out.
An interesting career path.
Oh, yeah. I think this is just what he does. He like helps run charities. Apparently, he's good at it.
Good for him.
So I think one of the biggest claims that Sophie's trying to make is that she looked at the 7-year history of the charity in between when she left in 2015 and when she came back as chair in 2023, and noticed that there was a severe dip in donations and sponsors around the time that Prince Harry left the UK in 2020 and his reputation started to tank.
What a coincidence.
This is interesting. Although I have seen a chart this morning or today, somebody got a chart of the finances and it seemed like it dipped for a couple years and then it went back up higher than it was before. So I'm not sure if reputation is the reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I think that goes back to you saying, like, you know, we're still waiting for more information.
Yeah. I think we already mentioned most of all the rest of this. Basically, the fact that Prince Harry is an agent of chaos in this charity. Like, he just shows up in meetings and is like,
let's do this.
So here's my friend Tom. He would like to be a trustee now. That's effective immediately. And everybody's like, oh, okay.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tom. He also, for the polo charity thing, when he decided that he wanted to bring in Netflix, he had told them a month before they were going to have the polo match because he didn't stop to think about the fact that you have to ask permission from the place you're having it, the people that are going to be in it. And then it changed from being a charity event to a commercial event. So now we're having to find a new place because the Sentebale charity can't afford the place we were going to do it at. And then Meghan said that she wasn't going to be there. And then she just showed up. And she showed up with Serena Williams, which brought a bunch of extra press and stuff along with it. And she's like, that would have been great to know ahead of time.
Also, so is she friends with Serena Williams? Oh, my cat.
Yeah. Megan's friends with Serena.
Okay.
Serena's she was on the first podcast. And she's been in Instagram stories as Auntie Serena or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. The other accusations are the misogyny, claiming that some of the trustees don't want to work with her or listen to her, whereas they would have been more willing to work with the man who had her job before her.
Mm-hmm.
And that she has documented messages from people from different meetings where they're like, what is going on right now? Should we stop this? Like, what do we do? This is crazy. I don't know about any of that. Maybe it'll come out later. That's he said, she said.
Right.
And the only last thing is that Sentebale would be fine with Harry. He hasn't even visited in 5 years, so it can't mean that much to him right now.
Does the other prince, like, has he been more hands-on? Do we know?
Nobody's talking about him.
Oh.
I feel like she was saying like the biggest problem, even though there were multiple problems, but the biggest one is Prince Harry, the chaos he brings, the PR, like the reputation problems
Right.
that are costing them money, the fact that he's also, she says that he's possibly briefing sponsors to not work with the charity to make it look like she can't get the money.
Right.
Like she can't fundraise to hopefully get her out so he can come back in and save the day.
But
And that
it's just weird, though, that, like, the other prince is leaving as well.
I think that's because they were both leaving in solidarity with the trustees that were leaving.
Got it.
And I think the trustees that left and the two princes were all on that same squad of people who probably run the charity a little more loosey-goosey because they've all been there for 19 years.
Right. It's just funny, like, nobody's, like you said, nobody's talking about him. But I guess if he's, like, not causing problems.
Yeah, and I guess the only reason that she's on the news is that Harry didn't even say, we'll say both princes. Neither one of them told the charity that they were stepping down. Instead, they went to the media and announced it.
Got it.
And that's how she found out.
Oh.
So that's shitty. And also that's Prince Harry using the media that he claims to hate so much.
Right. Which, again,
for his own benefit,
feeds into, obviously, the whole narrative where it's like, you guys talk a big game about how detrimental the media has been to you and then spin it to your advantage whenever possible.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if, like, maybe some of us have been right that they've been doing that the whole time. People magazine. that's all I want to say on that.
Fair.
I'm kind of exhausted with the news.
I was gonna say, I'm like, we've done 2 hours on the news, and I'm just exhausted in general.
Exactly. So let's just get through the next bit, which is
Okay.
actually trying to explain what does the monarchy do? Like, what are the king's responsibilities, legal things he can do, and whatever, and how they make the money.
Okay.
And I'm probably gonna get something wrong because it was all wibbly wobbly.
Love
Ta-da!
it. Wonderful.
Thank you. There they are. 4 generations of monarchs.
What is the youngest one standing on?
I don't know. I think they're books with like blue page painting on the side.
What an odd choice.
Um, yeah. I don't know why he couldn't just like sit on his dad's
So
lap.
that's
Like, why
okay.
does
That was my first thought. I'm like, why are you oddly standing on a stack of books?
he needs to stand on his own, but he also needs to be at the same level as everybody else.
Okay. Anyways.
So, the UK government is a democratic constitutional monarchy. Find it very interesting that we throw constitutional in there because guess what? The UK does not have a written constitution.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had like a whole bit where I was going to go over like a quick history of UK government, but when I got to page 6 of notes, I was like, we can't do that. So, sovereign is head of state, has the ability to make and pass. No, he does not have this. The ability to make and pass legislation resides with an elected parliament. Historically, British monarchs have always had a group of advisors. So, like Parliament, they're like super powerful advisors at this point.
Okay.
So, I think this is the vestige of my history of monarchy in the UK is that even when there were like multiple tiny kingdoms and they weren't like the big United Kingdom, the kings all had a group of advisors.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime a king in history of the UK has tried to move towards absolute power, the public will revolt and you're probably going to lose your head.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the 1200s, there was the Magna Carta, which was like the official setting down rules for what the king can do and what he needs to delegate.
Mm-hmm.
And later, like 400 years after that, I think it was King Charles II started to get a little carried away, and he ended the monarchy for a little bit. And that's when we had Oliver Cromwell as Lord High Protector. And then they decided they didn't want that anymore, and they went back to having a monarchy. But they also have they have the parliament because the sovereign has no political or executive role, and the political part is really important. If you're watching the king try to meet certain people or go to different charities, it can't have a political tilt to it. And some people, it's really hard to do these days because, like, helping homeless people, somebody might be like, you're trying to be political by telling you gotta take care of homeless people. It's like, no. So, yeah, the sovereign can't have any sort of political lean because he needs to represent the whole United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who you are, he's your king. And if he's seen to be leaning one way or the other, then you're going to have a lot of angry people and you're going to end up with no more king. The powers that the UK monarch does have are called the royal prerogative. What else? What's the next picture? Oh, there's the prime minister. It's so fun.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. One of his prerogatives is appointing and removing the prime minister, which sounds like he does something there. No. What actually happens?
I was gonna say, like, isn't there still an election and basically they just like certify it, basically?
Yeah. So they have their general elections where the general public picks a party that they want to form a parliament for a period of time. And then the ruling party picks a leader and they bring the leader to Charles and they go, we want this one as prime minister. What do you think? And he always says, yeah, that sounds great.
Because he doesn't want to upset the people.
Yeah. Same thing for dissolving parliament, because a parliament, I'm gonna see if this makes sense. A parliament is like the time that that party is running the government, is running parliament. So let's say Labor, the political party, wins. They pick a leader and they run parliament. They can run it for up to 5 years. And then there has to be another general election. The prime minister can at any point resign and either have the party choose a new prime minister or resign and say that there's going to be another general election.
Okay.
But they can the maximum is 5 years.
Got it.
It's nothing like how we run our country, and I don't know if we're doing a great job.
So, in that election, could you be reelected? Or are you just like out? They just don't you're not allowed to run.
What do you mean?
So you're saying you were saying
because the election is people picking a party.
But could they?
So if Labor wins this time, Labor could win again.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Is could they win again?
Yeah, and also if they choose the same prime minister, they can do that. There's no limit that I saw.
Got it.
I mean, he could die at some point. That might be the limit.
Okay.
But when the prime minister wants to dissolve parliament for a new election, he requests that the king dissolve parliament. And the king goes, I'll think about it. and then he just does it.
So how often does that happen? How often does a prime minister request that versus just seeing the whole thing through?
Every time they dissolve. So every 5 years or
have to dissolve.
Yeah.
But okay, but you were saying a prime minister can dissolve early. How often did they dissolve early?
I think they just did it because everybody seemed surprised. I think it was I don't remember how early it was.
But so basically,
I don't know how often it happens.
Okay. I'm just wondering if it's more common to do it early versus not, but it sounds like not. You would just ride out your 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like it doesn't happen very often because people were surprised that he was calling a general election for the 4th of July, and they're like, why doesn't he just wait?
Got it. Okay.
And I was like, I don't know. Why doesn't he just wait?
Great question. Okay.
Uh, he approves the most important laws through granting what is known as royal assent, which again, the parliament just brings them a law and they're like, hey, we like this. You like this? And he goes, yeah. uh, I guess according to every .gov.uk website I read, um, as far back as we know, the monarch has never declined a law, not given royal assent. Some people who don't like the monarchy claim that it happens all the time. So I don't know why they think that, because I'm pretty sure somebody would have pointed out that like a law was trying to be passed and then it wasn't.
Right? Especially when it happens all the time. Like, it seems like you would know.
Yeah. Yeah. He's another thing he does is appointing members of the House of Lords on advice of the Prime Minister.
So basically, he's just a fancy dude who puts a seal of approval on things.
Because I am king. I say yes.
Exactly. You want me to say yes? I'll say yes, because I'm a benevolent guy.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So a very fancy yes man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He also is in charge of conduct of diplomacy and agreeing to treaties, which I am assuming he does on the advice of the Prime Minister. While the king can negotiate and ratify treaties through his ministers, they cannot alter domestic laws without approval of Parliament, which must pass an act of pass an act of Parliament.
Woo!
What do I have on here? Oh, there he is. This is what the opening of Parliament looks like every year.
A ton of people squeezed into a room and they're wearing velour that's way
because
too
they
long.
have the House of Lords and the House of Commons all squished into one room. And then the king reads a speech about what his government is going to do, and that speech is written by Parliament. And it's my favorite thing to watch him read it, because he always looks up at these people like, oh, you're going to do that, are you? Because I've read this before, and you haven't done that. It's my favorite.
Okay, when is this?
I think they just had an election on July 4th.
Okay, so we potentially have 5 years.
Huh?
So we potentially have like the full 5 years. Well, 4 years. Because you're saying
I'll look it up. I'll look it up later.
Okay. Okay. Anyways.
I'll let you know. Just trust me. I do not miss it.
Okay. I believe you.
What else we got in here? Oh, yeah. I think we'll talk about this before I get to the next note. And this is just the fact that everything he does is on advice of the Prime Minister. And here is the Prime Minister. Have you seen the Prime Minister hand the invite to Donald Trump to visit the king for a second time?
No.
Okay. Let's watch it.
It is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you So can I present
Yes.
the letter from the King to
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction
Well,
is, so I need to know. I need to know.
He is a great gentleman, a great, great gentleman.
I think they wanted him to read it out loud.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is he supposed to read it out loud? But then people would
but we're
know he can't
also
read.
wondering if he can read.
Well, that is really nice. I must make sure his signature's on that. Because, otherwise, it's not quite as meaningful. It is, and that's quite a signature, isn't it? Beautiful. He's a beautiful man, a wonderful man, and we appreciate it. I've known him, gotten to know him very well, actually. First term and now second term. Perhaps you'd like to say what that very important paragraph.
Yes, so this is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit. This is really special. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented. And I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us. So this is a very special letter. I think the last state visit was a tremendous success.
It was.
His Majesty the King wants to make this even better than that. So this is truly historic, an unprecedented second
That's a
state
great-
visit. He
great
wants
honor.
to talk that through with you.
And that says at Windsor. That's
Yes.
really something.
Yes. What I haven't got yet is your answer. I do need to.
The answer is yes. On behalf of our wonderful First Lady, Melania, and myself, the answer is yes, and we look forward to being there and honoring the.
I just think the most slimy part of that whole video is Keir trying to butter up Trump and be like, it's never happened before. You're such a special boy. I hate it.
It's unprecedented. How many times can we say unprecedented?
Get it? You're a president, and I said precedent, and it sounds the same. You probably think it's the same word.
Okay.
So we have that, and if I were British and I saw my leader of my government being so beta, I would be disgusted. I am disgusted.
I mean, even his body language is so like curled in and like, here's the letter.
Also, really concerned that Trump was not reading it because he then handed it to him and was like, can you just tell him what that paragraph says?
Right? I guess that even, I mean, and we obviously joked about this before we even got there, but it's like the fact that the two of us were like, can you even read? Like, why are you not reading it out loud? That was the implication
Exactly.
there. Like, if you had to ask, oh, am I supposed to read it right now? What's going to be in that letter that you wouldn't read out loud?
Right.
At a televised thing.
He might be telling me something personal because we're besties.
Right, exactly. Like, what the hell is he writing in there that you're concerned about? No, it's literally that, like, this would offend me if I could read or whatever. Like, that won't stop me if I can't read.
Then it goes to
It is my.
it goes to this thing.
Oh, no. Wait, his name is Keir?
Our country.
Can I ask you why
Keir Starmer.
Donald Trump is getting a second state visit?
Well, because the King has invited him.
The Prime Minister, on the Prime Minister's advice.
Well, he's done something which no president has ever done before.
Well, he's been impeached twice. He's got a criminal conviction. He tried to overturn an election. He slapped tariffs on us. He's trying to annex Canada. I mean, I can see what's in it for Donald Trump. What's in it for us?
They're our closest ally.
Oh,
Our defence and security and intelligence is bound up one with the other. We have enormous amounts, billions and billions of pounds worth of trade between our two countries. We fought wars together. We faced challenges together.
No
And
one's no elected politician has ever been offered a second state visit.
no two countries work as closely as our two countries. The special relationship isn't just a phrase that's sort of useful in history books and biographies. It is the lived experience of how we keep our country.
You're spineless, is what it is.
Also, his name is Kier. Like,
Oh yeah.
I thought I misheard you a little bit earlier, but like his name is Kier. Of all,
Were you like trying to figure out what it could have been? Like, what name sounds like
yeah,
that?
exactly. Because I was like, well, that's just too coincidental.
No, it's Kier. Hmm. But like,
Whoever
the
these
fact
guys are,
that
though,
you-
I love them. That they're just like,
Oh, well,
so
yeah. Then they immediately went into, don't you think this is really shitty to do to the king, who's also king of Canada? And he now has to play nice with the guy who's trying to annex his other country as a state?
yikes.
But I didn't want to play entirely too much of their interview, but it's a good one.
Okay.
But yeah, I just, it's that. It's going to Trump, telling him how special he is because he got a second invite and nobody else has ever gotten a second invite before. And then to come back and just be like, the king invited him. I don't know.
And they're like, that's not true. And he went, oh, well, we had to.
They were like,
Special
on advice of the prime minister. And he's like, who's that? Who's the prime minister? That guy sounds like an idiot.
We have a special relationship, okay?
Yeah. That is an example of how it works with the king. He kind of gets used as a toy. Anytime there is a state visit from another country to or from, like if somebody comes to visit them or he goes to visit over there, it is because Parliament has decided it's a good idea right now for you, King Charles, to go butter up those people before we have to do some sort of legislative work,
Got it.
which is not a
Yeah.
job I would want. Ignore that for the moment. He's also the he acts as the head of the armed forces. He does not make any decisions for the armed forces. He just is. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
He's also he has the power to declare war. How fun is that? I think he doesn't do that on his own. Being head of the Church of England, the official religion of England, go figure. Oh, I guess that is a thing. He just is the head of the Church of England. I don't know why I put being. He's the head of the Church of England. And he also grants honors, which is anytime somebody gets knighted.
Okay.
Because it is ministers who now make most of the real decisions about the use of these powers, monarchs are distanced from political parties. They're able to discuss government business at meetings they have with the. I see what the problem is. When I transferred my notes, all my bullets went away, and so I'm like meshing things together now. Excellent, love it.
And you're just saying all the bullets in one. You're a machine gun of information.
So I already mentioned it can't be political. They can't be political. Only politics is that they discuss government business at a meeting they have with the prime minister every week. It's a secret meeting. Nobody knows what they talk about. He has a neutral focal point for the whole country. And he has an international relations role, contributing to the soft power of the UK in the world. Because everybody wants to meet a king, guys.
The king.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy. As head of my notes got real messed up here. As head of the Church of England, You cannot be a Roman Catholic.
Mm.
Did you know that?
I feel like I actually did hear that before.
Yeah, that's because England was really divided between Catholics and, I think, Protestants. Is that what we call people from the Church of England? Anglicans? Anyways, lots of bloody war. So that's why we don't become Catholic. No Catholics.
You are correct. Anglicans.
Aha! Aha!
Good job. Fun fact.
Now we're moving on to finances.
Okay.
We got the general gist of the
The role of the king.
royal prerogative. It's my prerogative. So finances. This stupid piece of crap. This. Sorry, I got real angry there for a second, but this chart has vexed me because it is oversimplified. So, the crown, which is not the actual monarch. The crown, as in the separate entity that is, it's the government, but it's also not the government. It's the king, but it's not the king. It owns the crown estate, and the crown estate owns all of the official palaces, jewelry. There's property involved. It is run by a separate group of people, like a committee,
Okay.
and they keep the finances working. The king doesn't own Buckingham Palace. He can't sell Buckingham Palace. There's a few different palaces like Windsor and I think Holyrood House that are like official business places for the monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like Sandringham and Balmoral that are actually owned by the family.
Got it.
So the crown estate that owns all this official crown stuff that the king just gets to use while he's king makes money, makes profit. All the profit goes to the treasury, the UK government treasury. Now, this next part is where it gets tricky because what it looks like is that the treasury just calculates a certain percentage that they've agreed on and gives that money to the sovereign grant. The sovereign grant pays for the royal family. But what it looks like the crown estate makes the money, and then some of that money goes to sovereign grant, which pays for the royal family. So then you're wondering, where does the taxpayer come in? Right?
Right.
Because to me, it looks like the crown's making its own money, so why are we complaining?
Right, exactly.
So, the amount that the sovereign grant gets is calculated by the profits from the crown estate 2 years ago. But then they take that money from taxes and give it to the king. I think because the crown estate profits and taxes all go to the treasury, that your tax money is going to pay for the sovereign grant. But I think we could cut them out, don't you think?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the taxpayer is involved if this is the picture you're going to show people. Because this is like on the government websites, on the BBC page. This is what they tell people.
Right. Which implies
So why don't
we're taking 15 to 25% of whatever profit we make.
right?
It's just a
So why
convoluted
don't we?
way of getting from us to us.
So why don't we just do that.
Right?
Another thing that is confusing lately is that it was 15% a few years ago. Then they started a 10-year project on Buckingham Palace to renovate things, for which they need like 369 million pounds. So they bumped it up to 25%, which they said they would do until until 2027. That's the end of the project.
Okay.
But then in 2023, it was announced that the Crown Estate profited an extra 900 million pounds because the Crown Estate owns the seabeds where they have 6 different wind turbine farms, and that generated a huge profit. So the king asked Parliament if they could donate about $1 billion or $900 million of that extra profit, just donate it to the government / the UK people and have the Parliament figure out where to use that money to help the people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have them decide how best to use it.
Yeah.
So I think instead of doing a direct $900 million transfer, what they've decided is instead of the 25%, they've just lowered it down to 12%. So now we're at 12%, but the Crown Estate is making a shit ton more money.
Got it.
So at 12% this year, the royal family is getting 132 million pounds, which is about 50% more than they did last year. They got 86 million pounds last year. So when everybody read that they're getting 40 million pounds more, they were like, oh, they're just taking more of my taxes. And it's like, no, it's because the Crown Estate has made a severe increase in profits.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Are you asking me, does it make sense? Does the system make sense? Or does the way you're explaining it make sense?
Does the I don't know, the change in percentages make sense? How it was 15%, then we increased it to 25 to help with the renovation costs. But then the Crown Estate made so much more money that 25% would be, what is it?
Like
25%, that would give them like $264 million this year.
right. So I guess I can appreciate it that it's dynamic in that way where they're not like, okay, well, it went way up.
Yeah.
So we're going to take way more.
Yeah. And also, I think part of the reason he wanted to get rid of the extra money, was to help the people because everybody's in a living cost crisis moment.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you can donate all that money, then it looks like the profit of the Crown Estate is lessened and he doesn't get paid $300 million or 300 million pounds, which would make him very unpopular.
Right.
He was like, please take the money.
Do something good with it.
Yeah. So the sovereign grant before 2012 was made up of 3 different accounts. There was the civil list, which was what paid family members and their staff. There was a royal travel grant that paid for their travel. there was a communications and information grant. Oh, there's 4 different things. And the maintenance of the royal palaces grant. So everything was broken up into 4 different things. Now they all just have everything together as the sovereign grant.
Got it.
And it pays for all of those things. These are the working royals that we have. I chose everybody's pictures from Coronation Day. So we're all in our finest, fun robes.
Robes.
Right now we have the King and Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the Princess Royal. She's a horsey girl.
I know. I love her. We love her. Margaret's wonderful.
The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh.
Love
Duke and
Edinburgh.
Duchess.
Shout out Scotland.
Love it. Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. He was cousins with the Queen.
Ah.
And so was the Duke of Kent. He's kind of part-time work royal because he's old. But he does get out and about. The Crown Estate has 3,000 acres of farmland and a good deal of prime real estate in London. Its assets worth $6.5 billion in 2022, and it's not the king's private property, as I mentioned before. He can't sell any of it. Like, he just gets to use it. The Duchy of Lancaster is passed down from monarch to monarch, and that is their personal. The duchy. He's essentially the Duke of Lancaster.
Okay.
Like, the profits from the Duchy of Lancaster are his money. It is his money to play with.
Okay.
It's passed on from monarch to monarch. It's 18,000 hectares of land in areas such as Lancashire and Yorkshire, as well as property in central London. It's worth £654 million, and it generates about 20 million in profit. So, like, the money that he gets from the sovereign grant pays for his entire family to work as royals, so that all has to be divvied up, and all of them have to pay for upkeep of staff and travel and communications and
Right.
all the fun things. So, like, 132 million pounds is paying for all those people to work. So, like, it's their company card.
Basically.
I think I had a picture. No, that's his wind turbines picture. I just thought it was cool. Oh, there's his Duchy of Lancaster, and it shows you, like, roughly where he owns land. And then the Duchy of Cornwall goes to the Prince of Wales. It mainly covers land in southwest England. It's worth $1 billion, which Prince Charles really invested and worked on the Duchy of Cornwall to bring it up to something that's worth $1 billion, because he had like 70 years almost of being Prince of Wales. I think he had like 50 years where he was an actual adult doing stuff. But it generates a net surplus of $24 million. And then I think we just go on to mentioning taxes real quick. In 1992, the Queen volunteered to pay income tax and capital gains tax on her personal income, and the King does the same. The King and the Prince of Wales voluntarily pay income tax on the revenue they generate.
That's nice.
Members of the royal family pay tax on any income generated from privately owned assets. King Charles does not have to pay inheritance tax on the money he received when Queen Elizabeth died under the sovereign-to-sovereign exemption agreed in 1993 by Prime Minister John Major, which I wish there was no inheritance tax for anybody. I don't know why we're profiting off of people dying.
Because we try to profit off of anything we possibly can.
I have heard about how the government screws people at end of life in so many different ways over here. And it's awful.
It is.
I mean, you're already dealing with the fact that your family member just died, but also
Give us your money.
getting, yeah, give me everything. Oh, you don't have it all? Sell the house.
Your problem.
That's that.
Oh my God.
I think okay, so people have guessed that the royal family per capita, and not everybody pays tax in the UK because like there are children, but
What are we calling them? Unemployed minors.
yeah, I also think you don't have to pay taxes under a certain income bracket. I could be wrong, but they calculate that per capita it's like a pound or two per person for the royal family, but which I think is negligible. But also, I think we could probably just skip the taxpayers altogether if we could just take the money from the crown estate.
Right? Yeah, so okay, if you make less than 12,570 pounds, you don't pay taxes.
Yeah, which is good. I wish we did something like that. Hey, you're broke.
I'm
Sorry. Keep your money.
I thought you were saying like I was broken, like the recording was broken.
No,
I was like, I broke? What?
you're broken.
Oops.
Upcoming major events. There's like 20 different minor events for the next 2 weeks that obviously we're not going to cover
I'm sure
in the
something
news.
crazy will happen and we'll have to cover that anyways. We spent 2
Yeah.
hours on news just because of like most of it was stuff that just happened, not minor events.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to maybe whittle it down to 3 topics instead of 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Because apparently we can't handle 4. But for major things, the king and queen are going to Italy April 7th to the 10th. They were supposed to meet the Pope, but he had double pneumonia, so they're postponing the visit to the Pope. And then April 8th, Meghan has a podcast or something. I don't know. And that's it. That's all I got. What do you got? You got any notes?
No, I have none.
Oh, man.
None. But I'm tired. It is 10:30
Me too.
here.
Yeah. I'm done.
Fabulous.
This was great.
This was great. I learned a lot.
Yay. Did I I don't know. If you're still watching this video, which I am impressed.
Right? I was gonna say, like, that's dedication on another level.
If you're still watching this video, please give it a like. Maybe comment something nice because our last video attracted a nut job.
I love that you're just gonna call her out at the very end, because then it's like if she comments again, we get to.
There's no way she's here.
And
There's no way.
what if? Then she's just dedicated in a weird way. All right.
Hey. We will be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, we will post on a Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.